So this is session 2 of 4. This is for Mystery Academy. We are using a modified version of Masks: A New Generation, which is a superhero PBTA game for teens. The basic changes are a couple of move shifts, particularly about discovery moves. The seeking moves for essentially spouting lore is a new thing in here. We use a spendable influence that is important. And the players don't really have playbooks. They have a background move. They have some things they defined about themselves. But generally, we're leaving that open. And we've got 4 sessions, so maybe somebody will get in advance, and we'll figure out what they will get from there. So last time we had 4 characters on the table. We've got, as with Gauntlet, we've got an open table, so things switch around. So we have 2 of the PCs from that are not here. One who we knew wasn't going to be here, and the other one who had an unfortunate family tragedy who is not here. But we'll talk about how we're going to kind of put them off the table for the moment here. This is a strange school. Our teen, high school age kids have arrived at a weird school. It is in undefined Massachusetts, New England. It is kind of up on a cliff overlooking the sea. There's a town, the town of Shellville, down below, little tiny place. And they've arrived. There's been some strange things. They've seen strange people that are running the place, and a few other incidents. They don't know what is going on. We don't know what is the deal here. And we're going to paint in a few more pieces this week. Our students themselves are somewhat unusual. And what I'm going to have us do is introduce the 2 previous students who are continuing on from session 1. And then we've got 2 new arrivals. We're going to do a little bit of that character creation and digging into the background, and then we're going to bring them on into play. So, Sherry, if you don't mind, can you please tell us about your character?
Sure. Una was found in a train station in essentially a sort of a vaguely Eastern European area at a train station during a time when there were a lot of conflicts going on. At the time, no one could place her or recognize her. The only thing that she had that lent any sort of identification was her violin that she carried without a case. Had a piece of masking tape on it that said Sobchak. So it's assumed that her last name is Sobchak, and she's moved around through sort of the community of international charities during all of her upbringing. This sort of, for some reason, vaguely, no one has ever gotten around to placing her in a foster family or anything like that. She just gets shuffled from charitable program to charitable program to staying at the holidays with different families that are associated with these. As such, she's sort of amassed a kind of really good set of talents at blending in and not being noticed that much, and she has a strange hodgepodgey wardrobe of sort of extremely nice clothing, but all from a year or 2 ago. And she still has her violin, and she still has no case. Her strangeness is that she can essentially play the scales, and she will disappear to all people's essentially sense of who's around. Essentially, the sound of it is so mundane that she blends in with the background. And occasionally, when she's in terrible need, she can somehow sort of use the violin to extend emotions to the other people around her. So that's the story of Una, who also is nicknamed Doot by one of her families, and that one has stuck. So she will sometimes answer to Doot as well.
And I will try to get that right this time rather than calling you dupe as I did through 90% of last session. We'll see that. All right. Thank you much. I'm going to now talk to Theo Dubois and have Matt introduce Theo to us.
Great. So Theo was an orphan child from France. He grew up with his sister alone after their parents died in a bus accident. However, Theo, on the event of their death, this is when his powers awoke, and he saw some sort of vision, like he saw them die before it happened, and he saw that somehow his sister was related or involved. She has powers too. Her name is Gabriella. She has subtle mind influencing powers. Theo's minor strangeness is that he has, a form of psychometry. So when he touches objects or places, sometimes he'll get brief flashes of visions relating to their owners or previous inhabitants or that kind of thing. And then his major kind of power has been a little undefined so far, but I think it's more that he'll have stronger visions of the past or of the future, and or of things happening in a different place, and he'll have a slight ability to interact or influence them based on what he sort of how he perceives them, what he wants to happen. But he's never really been able to control it well before, I don't think.
Interesting.
I was just going to say he has sort of he's a singer. He has a high kind of gentle voice, plays the piano. When he was growing up as an orphan, they sort of became criminals and started thieving, and his sister sort of dragged him into it. And we might meet Gabriella in here, but she's a bit controlling and manipulative. And then he was turned over to an agent, drugged, and brought overseas. And now he's here.
Not only turned over to an agent, essentially the agent that had raised you and your sister for a number of years seems to be involved with this school, the Rathburn Academy, which has a longer name, but I'm going to stick with Rathburn Academy as the shortened version of that. And we'll come back to where your sister's at on the program a little bit later. So thank you for saying those two up for us. What I want to do is get a sense of our two new characters. See if there's any questions you have about character creation or anything like that. And Patrick, let me go ahead and start with you. Let's have you tell us about your character. Give us the background. We'll talk through your abilities, and then I'm going to drag some stuff out of you.
All right. So I'm playing Rosalind Rosa Greaves. She is 16 is like our median age. Yeah. So she's about 16. Daughter of like a world famous tech mogul, someone on the like Elon Musk or Tony Stark level.
Okay.
She's raised in like amazing riches and wealth, just used to it, very expectant of being better, wealthier, sort of more important than anyone else. But it was a really distant family, a really cold sort of world. She really hasn't had a lot in the way of friends in her life, more like peers or rivals. And family was always a matter of like, what have you done to impress us recently? What have you done to be important recently? So I do think she's got a very haughty, sort of bitchy exterior. But the idea of friends and people that she could actually be on an equal level with is something foreign and sort of appealing to her. As far as abilities, she has the completely natural and not at all creepy ability to shed her skin, sort of like a snake or other highly evolved beings. And her minor ability is that she can do it to basically change her look cosmetically. hair, makeup, clothes, anything that could be sort of reasonably done with a couple of hours at a salon or something. She can do by just, shedding her skin and sort of throwing it in the trash can, tamping it down. She comes from a world where servants are paid enough not to ask about stuff like that. And then her unleash ability would be similar, but the body underneath would be something wildly different, like made out of metal or gemstone, or she could tear away her skin and look like someone completely different underneath, like make some real structural changes.
Interesting. So this transformative ability, this shedding of the skin, how long has she been able to do that? When did that occur in her life? Has it always been that way, or is this a relatively new thing?
It hasn't always been that way, but it has been that way for a while. It in her life, it sort of came at that point when people stopped, especially her like dad and her family, stopped looking at her as like the cute little kid and started looking at her as, well, what have you done recently? And I think that like mounting stress led to the first time that she did it. And now she sort of like has her own way to keep up with all these people that always look fashionable and amazing and always have the right outfit for the right situation. Well, she can do that too now, but she doesn't have to worry about it.
So when that occurred, when she started to do that, and you mentioned the servants, not asking questions, that kind of thing, is this something that she has definitely kept secret, or does her family know?
She says, the servants are paid well enough to never ask questions about it. That's probably not true.
Okay.
So I imagine her dad knows about it. And I don't know if it's a situation where like he just paid out the money to keep this weirdness quiet, or whether he wasn't surprised entirely when this started happening.
Interesting. You're not sure about that. Siblings?
3 older sisters.
3 older sisters. So you probably went to, highfalutin places, well paid for on the Greaves money. How did this all transpire that suddenly you're going to this Rathburn Academy out of the blue that you'd never heard of, that you can't find anything about?
Well, it's utterly tragic too. It's off in the middle of nowhere. There's nobody and nothing around, which is the worst. I have my phone and it'll be fine. But I think my dad, like he wasn't surprised by the invitation arriving, so I just assumed it was something that he set up. And he talked about how like being able to put this on my business card or on my resumes will be such an impressive little add-on to our name. And if it's an add-on to our name, well, that's not something you argue with, I guess.
That makes sense to me. A lot of luggage, little luggage.
A lot of luggage.
Okay.
Just boxes and boxes, not like cardboard boxes, like traveling crates and stuff like that. All match set luggage just stacked up in piles.
Okay. A cartoonishly large pile of luggage there. You've probably used this metamorph ability. I mean, you can do it, the sort of high metamorph. And you've probably used it at least once to do something maybe unpleasant, or maybe nasty, or maybe maybe for good. I don't know. What was that? When did you actually use that for something significant?
I think maybe when she started to figure out that her powers could stretch beyond just like, oh, I'll be a redhead today, was when her oldest sister like graduated from college and got the prestigious vice president position at the company, at the Greaves company. And she was going in for, it was like leading up to her first day, and she was just bragging about it, and it was all anyone could hear about from her. And so I think I was just like about her in the mirror, and I shed, and suddenly I was her. And I think I went in before her first day and just wreaked all sorts of chaos, spread all sorts of false things about people, like got into shit with people, just to make sure that when she showed up for her first day, like, it was terrible.
Okay. So awful, but family awful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And where do you suppose she grew up? What
California.
What part of California? Okay, makes sense.
San Francisco, probably.
Okay. Anything else you want to share with us about Rosa?
She always has immaculate and colorful nails.
Ah, okay. But no nail polish.
Oh no! Well, I mean, if you get right down to it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Patrick. We're going to bring you in a little bit. I want to get our other new character on the table then. Garwin, can you please tell us about your character?
Okay, I'm playing Han So-min, who's a Korean American, born on a airbase in South Korea. And after her mother died in a helicopter crash, she basically has been dotting around all the different continents with her father working as an NGO vet. So she's very, very good with animals. She's... hello, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't getting any feedback through my headphones.
Oh, that's okay.
So she's very good with animals. She's very passionate about animal rights and animal welfare. And she maintains her own YouTube channel that she's done all over the world and is quite famous for. And she's very much looking forward to getting to see the stables and the animal houses here. The animal husbandry at the school is supposed to be excellent. Or at least that's what she's been told.
So you mentioned what kind of NGOs has your father worked for?
Worked for Christian Aid, Save the Children. Has worked for Medicine Sans Frontières, actually helping with pack animals, and worked with a huge variety of UNICEF and other large NGOs and a few small ones.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned the military base. So was it that your father was in the military, or was your mother in the military? What's the...
No, the mother was an airwoman. She was basically a co-pilot on a helicopter, working out of an airbase in South Korea. And so my character has never actually been to America before. She's been all over the world. So she's been to Africa, she's been to Australia, she's even been to Antarctica, but she's never been to America. And this is all new for her.
Talk to us about this ability that you have with animals, the talents that you have.
Okay. It's not so much that she can communicate with animals. She just understands what they're trying to tell her. Mm-hmm. She seems to have a rapport with animals. Animals tend to be calm in her presence. They accept her as one of their own. They doesn't tend to have the standoffish nature that most animals would have when they encounter someone new, especially wild animals. It's one of the reasons that her YouTube channel has been so successful. She's been able to get footage that very few other people have been able to actually get of wild animals up close and in person.
And the big power is that she has is what's that? Has she actually used it?
She hasn't used it yet, but at night she dreams of flying as a bird or running as a deer amongst the forests, running as a wildebeest across the plains of Africa. She wakes up, she's covered in sweat, but the images are so distinct. I don't know whether it's actually that she changes into the animal or if she takes control of the animal.
Okay.
But she hasn't actually expressed the ability yet.
So what kind of schooling has she generally had, or what kind of interaction has she had with other kids her age?
Generally, she would actually be raised with the other children of the aid workers who are out on assignment. Because of that, she didn't go to a lot of the more dangerous places. But a lot of the work that the NGOs were doing was basically educational work. So she was actually taught and educated alongside the children in the communities.
And when you found out you were coming here, when your father informed you that you were coming here, this place that you hadn't heard of, that you couldn't find anything about, what was your reaction to that?
I've been told that the animal husbandry courses here are quite advanced. They actually teach a lot of unusual animals, and they have a wide selection of their own animals on site. But North America's never been one of the things that's really appealed to me, so I'm a little bit reluctant. It's only the actual idea of finding out more about the animals themselves and actually getting a formal education that I can then actually apply to get admission to veterinary college. That's actually got me coming here in the first place.
Okay. What is the oddness that you know that people don't talk about regarding your mother's death?
They won't tell me where the helicopter went down. There was a news report saying that there had been a crash, but we couldn't find out where it had crashed, how it had crashed. And when we've tried to actually follow that up with the military and get the reports, they've refused to release the information on it.
She does travel around quite a bit. Light packer, heavy packer?
Oh, light pack, definitely. Okay. Just a bit essentials.
All right. Anything else you want to share with us about Han So-min?
Not really. That's all I have at the moment.
Okay. All right. So I want to frame the setup of our existing characters. I want to set them up on some things, kind of get them into position, and then I'm going to bring our two new characters in, if that's okay with everybody. So let's start with you then, Doot. You had a hell of a day yesterday. It was kind of taxing, and of course there was that the arrival here, the strangeness of the place, the long trip, the isolation, and that girl rummaging through your stuff before she took off, which probably still bugs you. What have you done to make this little the sort of big semi-empty room? I mean, it has lots of standing wardrobes and side tables and things like that. But what have you done to make it your own?
Well, one of the things that I've done is there was like a big linen closet with all of the blankets and stuff for other beds. Apparently, there would have been like 6 other beds or whatever. So she's sort of gone and taken some of the curtain wires, essentially the ones that you put through the curtains to fit on rods. Right. She's put those through some of the blankets, and she's hooked one end of the blanket to like the crown molding and the other to the one of the chandeliers in the middle of the room. And she's sort of made this sort of other room within the room with blanket walls so that she has a practice area.
Okay.
So so that she can practice whatever she wants and not worry about disturbing people in the other room. So she's got this sort of, I mean, it's not truly soundproofed, but it's, if anything, it's just like a little area all itself that says that's what it's for.
Perfect. When you get up in the morning and kind of step out from behind the blanket curtains, there are 2 more beds in the room now.
All right.
You didn't hear anything. You didn't. Somebody has clearly installed 2 more beds. Both, again, not matching at all. Beds and sort of in different spots of the room.
Well, I'll look up all the blankets I've used, and then check the linen closet. Make sure that I haven't taken. That at least there's enough blankets for the other things.
Yeah, there are definitely many blankets in here across the different areas.
Excellent. All right, then I don't have to sacrifice. All right. Right.
And you'll head out in the common room. Of course, it looks like breakfast has been set there. Essentially, rashers of bacon and eggs and toast, and a very classic continental breakfast there for you.
All right.
And we'll come back to you in just a second. Theo.
Hello.
You probably don't sleep particularly well. You've still got that image from the hat still echoing in your head.
Yeah, I saw bombers flying over when I held a hat that we had found in the room. There were just a bunch of people's possessions kind of strewn about, and I picked that up and saw a vision of something.
I believe it was this sort of old, dirty Patriots baseball cap. I can't remember if it was you or Sebastian that ended up holding on to the hat.
I think Sebastian actually picked it up and jammed it down onto Leo's head because Leo was the one who found it originally. Or Lionel,
Okay.
Sorry.
Lionel. That's right. So Lionel would have it if Lionel or Sebastian were here. You wake up and you are the only one in the room. Both of their beds are made. All their stuff is still there. That cap is sort of laying on Lionel's bed, but they're not here.
Huh. I think that Theo's already nervous enough at this school. He's generally a very nervous person because of all the, the things that he sees. Sometimes he doesn't understand them, and he's sometimes overwhelmed by them. And he can be a little even paranoid at times. And I think this totally, like after what happened yesterday, when we sort of had that conversation and we saw Lionel doing what really looked like magic, I'm very, I'm very attuned to the weirdness right now. And my mind immediately starts thinking about like, they've been kidnapped, or they're experimenting on them, or they found out what Lionel can do, or something like that. And I think I would quickly, after briefly poking around the room, I'd probably quickly gather my things and rush out into the common room and see if I can find them.
Well, there is Doot serving herself breakfast.
Oh.
So I think, I was just going to say, I think I run out and I'm like getting ready to, run. And then I see this like giant continental breakfast in front of me, and I just stop for a second. And then I like remember what I'm doing. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and she goes, "Oh, I'm on my seconds already, but the bacon is quite good."
It looks delicious, but it will have to wait. I can't find Lionel. and I can't find Sebastian. They're not in their rooms. Their stuff is there, but they're gone. They might have taken them.
Or they might have just already had breakfast and gone somewhere. There's 2 new beds in my room, so things are changing.
Maybe you're right, but it's you didn't see them come out, and I wouldn't have trusted Lionel to make his bed like that. It was very clean, very crisp. I think something's going on. All right, I will eat quick.
She's sort of standing there with a plate of bacon going, okay.
The smell of it wafting over. Keeping in mind, you had a decent dinner last night, but you also, most of the day you were eating off of airplane food and what you got out of those vending machines.
Right, and that was probably a lot of candy too. So maybe I'm like not feeling too good, but it looks so good that I can't not eat. And I say, do they have coffee?
And she goes, no, they have cocoa in an urn.
I need my coffee if I'm going to operate. These people don't understand how we do it in other countries. Americans.
And it's just like, well, you should have packed instant.
I can't drink instant. Come on, dude.
It's like, well, perhaps when we go to town, we can buy a coffee maker.
I like the sound of that. I can tell you have good taste, dude.
I don't drink coffee, so I couldn't speak to that.
Well, I will show you the light then. But what? Enough of this business. Okay. Hand me the bacon.
All right. She'll just get out of the way. There's a big chafing dish.
And that seems like a good place to cut. And we cut to a van that is winding its way up a coast, and you kind of wake up, Rosa. You have the sense that you've been traveling, but you kind of don't remember traveling. And you look around and you see this other young woman, Korean, at least half Korean. You're not sure exactly, what ethnicity there. There is a silver-haired gentleman driving the van, and a red-headed woman reading a book in the up in the passenger seat, and the back part of the van is filled with a bunch of your luggage. Certainly not all of it.
Well, I mean, jet lag is the worst, and I've woken up in a van, you said?
Yes.
Oh, how unfortunate. But this girl next to me, she's got something cute going on with that look, so I'm certainly not going to look put out. I know far better than to look uncomfortable. I just sort of wake up, blink a couple of times, and look haughtily at her like, what are you doing on my bench?
And Han, you will kind of wake up to the same situation.
Hello, sleepyhead. Sleep well?
I was just resting my eyes or whatever. It's been such a long drive in this. What is that smell?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go into my little traveling bag and take out some wet wipes and hand them over. You probably want to freshen up. Rip one off.
Thanks. And she'll sort of like dab at her face and sort of drop it somewhere.
Oh, pick it up, put it in the rubbish bag that I carry in there, and put it back in. Oh, so we're finally here. I'm going to go to the back windows on the van and try and get a view out to the coastline.
So you have to kind of turn to your passenger side window because the back of the van is filled with all of this matching luggage. You can't actually kind of get to the back part of it. But you will see, coastline, sort of cold New England coastline. You're just coming up to this small podunk town, little quaint New England fishing village. And you can see up beyond it, sort of Wuthering Heights, like the cliffs up above, with the switchback going up to that, and these woods and this big building, and all of that in the distance.
So here's Rosa just staring out the window at this like tragic, depressing Irish tragedy that we've ended up in. Something that like a teacher would assign or whatever. She's just staring out the window, sort of twiddling with her hair, and like the ends of it, it's like sort of sheds off an outer layer, and underneath that little bit of her hair is like the same bright pink as Han's hair, as she's just unconsciously playing with it. She sort of looks down and like tries to hide it under the rest of her hair.
Nice.
I don't notice. I'm looking out of the windows, and I've got my camera out and trying to look for any sort of native animals, see if I can actually get some good establishing shots for my YouTube channel. And
you pulled out your camera, and you drive as they're driving through the town, and you realize that you have no signal here.
Is anyone else getting Wi-Fi?
Frantically pull out my phone. What? No.
Yeah.
What? No. That is no.
Don't worry. They've surely got it up at the school. I
hear,
say not
from the front
entirely.
driver's seat. You hear.
Just glaring up there. Trying so many settings. Like, why do we pay this much to have our own satellites if I can't get a signal?
Oh, hi. I'm Somin.
Rosa.
Pleasure.
Rosa Greaves.
Pleasure.
Whatever.
And now you're going up that switchback, that sort of narrow one lane, only one car can go up it at a time. Cliffs off the one side as you're going up to the top. Get up to this, enormous wrought iron fence that seems to go off in both directions endlessly. That gate will open, and you'll start driving up through stands of woods. You can see there may be some small outbuildings. It's clearly a large campus, but it's also the upkeep here. It's very odd. Rosa, what is the building that on the drive up catches your eye?
I think there's just like it almost looks like it came off of a castle, but there's just like a round sort of parapet tower just in the middle of the grounds there. It's maybe only like 3 stories tall, but it doesn't really seem to be connected to anything.
Yeah, it doesn't match the other architecture around here. Doesn't fit with it. It's just off in the distance. They kind of drive up along the road. What's the building in the distance that you will notice, Han?
There's the boat shed. Right down at the bottom of the cliff. There's a there's a boat shed, and there's a long rickety staircase that actually takes you down to it.
Probably runs parallel to that switchback. It looks super dangerous, super rickety. While there are docks at the little town, there is this one little boat shed that is down at the bottom of the cliffs, where you're seeing the waves, the whitewater waves hitting up against that. Very bleak house look to it, and something rattling in the wind, clink, clink, in the distance. And the van will pull up to this enormous building, this mansion, but kind of funhouse-like in that you can see there are different architectural styles, and you can't quite get the full frame of it. It has weird gargoyle runoffs that look a little odd to you right now. And you will notice that it has something like a set of lightning rods sort of oddly placed around and about. There's also a tower here sort of sticking up from the middle of the building that you can make out. But a different architecture from the tower you saw out in the woods. And you will see there is a tall, gaunt gentleman and two other young persons with him. And I'm going to cut there. Back to the room.
Just wide eyes at Una or at Dude.
Oh, and she's like, she goes and very bravely answers the door. Hello?
It's Mr. Tuesday.
Oh, Mr. Tuesday, please come in. Have you had breakfast?
I have had breakfast. Yes, I have already fed for the day. If
she actually kind of goes when he says, "I have fed."
That's right. Fed. It's English. Sometimes difficult. Eaten. I have eaten my breakfast.
And I've got my mouth full, and I said, "Oh, I've eaten too, and please give my compliments to December. This is fantastic."
I'm certain she will be very pleased to hear that. If I could have you wrap up your breakfast and come with me, I have been alerted that two of your class, the late arrivals, are pulling up even as we speak.
Do you know where Lionel and Sebastian
are? Yes.
And she nods and she looks at him.
Oh, yes.
So they'll be returning shortly?
I certainly hope so. They have some additional testing to undergo, some other forms and things that had to be filled out.
And I immediately, my eyes go to Duke because we saw what Lionel did yesterday. And my immediate thought is that, they know he's a wizard. They've taken him. But I don't say any of that out loud. And I look back up at Tuesday.
They have additional placements necessary to determine the curricula and such.
Excellent. I'm ready to go. She has her violin with her, as always.
Well, follow me. This would be a chance to show you the path from your wing back down to the main hall so that you can have it placed in your memory.
All right.
And we'll cut to you guys coming again. That sort of weird greenish decor that marks out your particular wing, and head down that great hall with all of those stairs going off. You think it's probably still the same number of stairs you saw yesterday, but it's hard to tell. and you'll step out. Tuesday kind of sets himself a little bit, and just as you three kind of step into place, you will see this van pull up. You will see Wednesday and September are in the front seat. You'll see there are 2 young women in the next seat back, and then the back is filled with luggage. And describe to me this matching luggage, Rosa.
It's all sort of blue and green, like reptile snakeskin luggage. It's mostly in like squares and cases with like the brass corners and stuff. But there are a number of like oversized sort of rounded luggage to sort of top it all.
Excellent. And you will see September gets out. Wednesday gets out. Wednesday continues walking past Tuesday on into the building. September kind of stands there, and you two can get out. This gentleman, tall, thin, gaunt. If you probably have seen it in the NPC staff tab, you will see Tuesday there, and he will say, "Miss Greaves and Miss Sumin, I take it."
Miss Han.
Miss Han.
So the other side door just flies open, and Rosa comes like stumbling out. Will you stop cleaning yourself in public like some sort of animal?
What? It was stinky in there. I mean,
yes,
are you
it
sure
was.
you don't use some? No,
And
no,
now out
it's not
here
hard.
without you, it's much better.
Without me, you think that I was the one making that smell?
I wasn't the one who was cleaning every part of them like some dirty street person.
So what does that seem to tell you then?
That I am impeccably bathed and my hygiene is not in question. But where are you from that you smell like that?
Well, before I answer you, let me move in the other direction, so I'm no longer standing downwind of you.
Are you two quite finished? I take it you would wish to be oriented to where you are presently.
Yes,
Good.
as long as it's not too
Yes.
close to her.
Yes, yes. Well, should you require it, we'll make sure that we get you up to your rooms and show you to the facilities so you can take your ablutions as are necessary.
Thank you. And I love this is to boot now. Oh my god, I love your hair.
Oh, thank
that's
you.
Absolutely. What color did you use for that?
And she goes,
That's
it's called Opry Sunred. And which she stops and she goes, Are you Han? Are you Han of Han's Animals?
yes.
I
Han's
learned
Royal Kingdom.
Korean watching your sloth series. It was my favorite.
Oh, they're so cute. I mean,
She goes, I wrote a soundtrack for it. I'll have to play it for you. It's the sleepiest soundtrack you ever heard.
okay. Do they have Wi-Fi here?
I'm not certain. We just got here yesterday, and it's been... And she goes, well, you'll have to see yourself.
Okay. I'm going to take Bob by the hand. Come on, show us where we're sleeping.
And Rosa, we'll cut to the shot of you with Han having been recognized, but you not.
Yeah, I think she's just standing there, like her arms are still crossed. She's looking between Theo and who's it, Tuesday there. Just one eye is just a little bit twitching. Tosses all of her hair over her shoulder and comes up to Theo. Well, fine. I guess it's up to you to show me around. I'm Rosa.
And before you had approached, I had just been staring at you a little slack-jawed, kind of just like you do the whole hair toss thing, and it's the classic, like, all the colors show in the sun and everything. And then, mimicking the comment from earlier, I say, "Oh, I love your hair."
Oh, I love your accent. You are so sweet. You just where are we going to? Not with them, obviously.
Do you need help with your luggage?
Oh, no. It looks like the man has it.
Okay, then I suppose I can show you around?
That sounds lovely. And maybe what the Wi-Fi password is, that would help too.
Oh,
Tuesday
I just give her this
erupts,
look.
Says, if you two would take your new classmates up to your rooms and get them oriented. You don't have classes today, but someone will be along in a little while to explain the rules of the school to you.
Do not.
And Tuesday glides off.
And Dude says, "This is going to be challenging. We're going to have to see if we can find our way back." And she goes, "You're not going to believe this place. Come on."
It looks like something out of Gormenghast.
It looks more Gormenghasty as far as you go. Seriously, check this place out. And she'll go up to the front door and big heavy door and hold it open. She goes, look.
Wow, look at the... Wow, how heavy is that? Here,
Okay, and she'll let go and let you hold it.
Jay, no. Who designs a door like that? I mean, seriously.
She goes, everything about this place is... Well, she goes, let's go inside because you have to see the front.
The library.
Oh, just the staircase.
You have to see the library.
All right. I'm sure it's very interesting and filled with books, probably.
Let's find somewhere to put our bedrolls down, and then let's go for a wander.
Okay. And so she'll bring you into the first room, and it is literally at least 12 staircases going off into all these different directions. And beside each staircase, there's an intercom. But every intercom is different. Staircases, the banisters are a little bit different. And she's like, and we don't know where those 11 go, but this way is our room. It's where our rooms are, okay?
Okay, well, let's go put our bags down, then let's go find out.
Okay. Sounds good.
And as Rosa is coming through the entry hall there with Theo, she just leans in and goes, "Oh, this neo-eclectic architecture is so 3 years ago. Don't you agree?"
I thought it was 3 centuries ago. I mean, look at the banister. It's falling apart.
Well, they probably just repurposed it from some mansion or something that was falling apart. It's all the new rage and, well, old rage at this point in architecture.
Oh, wow. You shall know a lot about architecture.
Oh, you're sweet. Come on, we're going to be great.
And that's like a inner fist pump moment where Theo's like, yes, I did it. I think I say, but this place is very large, and it seems like Dude knows her way best around here. We best not let them get out of sight. I feel that we would get swallowed up.
I'm sorry, did you say Doot? Is that some sort of parakeet or dog on the premises?
You remind me of someone I know.
I think that's a great cut point.
Again, that twisting hallways up here, some of them wide and some of them narrow, but the staircase that you take does lead up to a wing. There are some themes here that seem to be going on. One is the fact that it is that green seems to be the predominant color used up here in this area for you. And then what's the other thing there? And everything seems to be done in like there's a lot of ash wood used in the furniture and things around in here. But it's also from place to place, the carpeting and the paintings and the bits and pieces don't quite match. Everything's just slightly off from one another. But you'll eventually arrive at this set of rooms. There is a great big common room. Then there are two side rooms that are large, obviously one for the men, one for the women. And you're told that down the hall is essentially the men's and women's separate lavatories. And we'll cut to you guys there.
Okay, I will wander into the dormitories first and try and take the bed as far away from where Rose is going to end up going.
Sounds good.
I think Rosa comes in and like flops down just bonelessly on the big large bed there and starts like just furiously tapping at her phone, trying every setting possible.
I think Doot stands there and kind of looks at her and goes, well, all right then. And she'll look at Han and say, let's get you set up. She goes, there's lots of space here, but you're going to have to figure out how to use it best. And she kind of goes, I set up for a practice room. Is what I was thinking. So.
Okay. I'll sit on the bed, jump a little bit to test the springs. Well, these are really soft, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. But we can probably find some boards and put them under.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, I'm going to pull the mattress off and put it on the floor.
Oh.
Ooh.
So smart.
And I should actually also point out that by the time you guys get up here, your luggage is up here. So there is a great, enormous pile, Rosa, of most of your bags in one corner of the room.
Okay, then yeah, after I'm assuming poking every button on my cell phone doesn't really help.
No.
Then there's like, I just throw it down on the bed with and I go over and just start opening every box, and stuff just like starts comically flying out, and there's all sorts of clothes and fabric, and there ends up being a whole like mini field of shoes as she just expands further and further out from this bed.
Awesome. Theo, what are you doing while the girls of young women have gone into their room? You're alone out here.
Yeah. I think I'm still pretty put off by the earlier comments about additional testing. And, Sebastian had kind of given me this really like warm sense of like someone to sort of watch over me. Like he felt like, it felt good having a friend close by. Not that Dude isn't one, but Sebastian had this gravity to him, and Lionel, had been the first to show us his powers. So I felt that connection too. So I'm feeling a little bit like I made this connection and it's already torn away from me. So I think I wander back into the room and I'm looking around at their stuff, and I don't want to like poke through it, but I wonder if I just end up with something in my hands and kind of close my eyes a little bit and try and reach out. I think maybe it's something of Theo's, or something of Lionel's.
Okay. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. Let's do that as a move here. Let's have you roll superior.
Sure. So Is this for assessing a situation?
I was doing a read the scene is
Read the
what I
scene,
was
yeah.
doing there.
Oh, yeah. And is this? I just asked because I'm not sure what my my special ability counts for.
So the special ability, the you mean the psychometry or the scared?
The scared.
So scared, a charged situation is a situation where like there are people about to fight or something's about to throw down, that kind of thing.
Right.
So,
but it would normally be that same basic move. It's just in for a charged situation because I'm scared and on the lookout. Right.
Right.
Cool. Then yeah, I think maybe it's just like a sweater of Lionel's, and I think like I'm not trying to like spy on him or anything, but I think like I'm really curious about like what or who he is, because he's the one who's shown that he has some kind of power, and I need to know if that's why we're all here or if it's just a coincidence. Or I'm gonna roll superior. That is a
actually said, let me stop you here. Now that you're talking about, we're trying to, one thing is you're trying to actually, I think, pierce the mask on Lionel is what you're trying to do, right? Or Sebastian.
I was actually grabbing some of Lionel's stuff. It could be pierce the mask because I'm trying to determine the nature of why they would have been taken and not us, but also just like to learn more about what's going on in this school and why we're all here, sort of thing. So it could be pierce the mask.
Okay. In that case, because we don't have the player here, let's not even go to a roll on that.
Yeah.
Let me think how to frame this out. Let me actually let's do a flat roll with Seek here.
Okay. So I have rolled a 6 and a 5.
Okay.
And Seek, which stat is that? Sorry.
There's no stat on Seek.
Oh, right. Right. Okay, cool. Then that is a 11.
Okay. So what do you want to declare something, or do you want me to set something?
Well, like you said, because Lionel's not here, we don't want to go into the history of his character or author too much for him. I would like to maybe get something more about him coming here, maybe something that was out of his perception that happened near him that revealed some information in some way, or just well,
we've got that seems like a really good chance to we've got an obvious set of imagery that Lionel set up last time. So let's pull on that, and you probably will get that flash of that scene because it matters very strongly to him, of him being in the store and looking out on the street and seeing that car hit that guy, the car kind of wrapping itself onto that guy, coming to a complete stop, nobody seeming to notice, and then the guy making eye contact with him. And that's something that hangs over him and bothers him and feels very significant.
Right. And, just the somewhat similar imagery of the car accident, and that's how my parents died too. I think this would definitely be very jarring for me as well. So it's, this is the classic Theo looking scared, but this is what happens when he like looks too far into something or sees something that he hasn't expected to see. And this is kind of why he is scared all the time, because he keeps getting these insights into things he doesn't understand, and it makes him kind of unsettled a lot of the time. So,
and the thing that freaks you out about how this vision ends is that you kind of get this vision, and then there's this light, that bright light that moves across the vision for you, just kind of sweeps across and cuts the vision off.
Okay. So I think like with how jarring it was, I would kind of just like, look ghost white at the article of clothing in my hands, and then immediately just go and like put it away and put it back kind of where it was, and try not to look like I've disturbed anything, and kind of breathing heavily, just standing alone in the center of the room.
Let's cut to Doot and Rosa and Somin. And is there anything you want to tell me about how you're setting things up in here?
Do you want to go first, Rosa?
As far as setting things up, I think it is just like that battle against Rosa's constant spread. Not only does she have a nearly infinite number of boxes of luggage, she takes no care to like put anything in its place or put anything back. She just sort of drops things haphazardly and assumes that someone will tidy it up later. But about her personally, do y'all like go off to the bathrooms at some point?
I think so, yes. We've been in a van for a good part of the day, so I think we're going to go and clean up if nothing else.
So I think like Una shows you off that way, and Rosa just tosses her hair and refuses to go. But by the time you come back, like her hair from that sort of mousy blonde has changed into this like streaked icy blonde highlighted, and she's got like full makeup thing going on of like power eyes and everything, and her nails are annoyingly now that same color as Somin's hair. Like that pink just won't go away apparently. But yeah, she's totally redone. It's taken like even if you were gone for a minute, she just looks completely different.
How did you... what?
Is there a problem?
You see Doot looking at after Somin reacts, like she's looking at you to try to figure out what Homin is reacting to, and she just can't see it.
How many wigs do you have?
Oh, as if I would need something like your lice-infested look. No thanks. Look, if you just knew a couple of makeup secrets, maybe if you looked into your own look a little bit and cared about that some more, you would understand how fashionable people just get things done.
Lice infected. Right.
Oh, I was just assuming, given the smell.
Okay.
So you are pushing pretty hard on her, Rosa. Let me ask you this: Are you trying to shut her down?
Oh, that's right. We have moves. Yeah.
Are you pushing to do that? That's a question here.
I think so. Yeah, she's got this super cute hair and look, and people reacted to her being. She's a YouTube star. Oh my god, and like no one's been paying attention to me. No one's even asked me about my last name or my dad or all my money or all my stuff, and this is just intolerable.
Okay, so let's resolve that, and then we'll come and check in with Sumin about that and Dude. So let's have you roll superior.
All right. I am, of course, very superior. It's an 8. So let's see. On a 7 to 9, you either each inflict a condition on each other, or both lose influence over each other. We don't have influence yet, so condition time. I don't know. I'd like to get through a little bit and inflict insecure on Somin.
Okay.
Yep. I'm up for that.
And so, Ben, what's your reaction, and what do you inflict back on Rosa in this exchange?
I've obviously done something to annoy her. She's obviously very, very, very angry with how she's been treated, and I honestly think that's the most telling thing from this and the actual reaction between us. So yes, I think she's angry.
Okay,
cool.
That seems perfect. So Ben, that exchange goes a little bit. What's your reaction to that then?
Listen, stick to your side of the room. I'll stick to my side of the room. my hands go into my hair and Just leave me alone. And I'm going to go out into the common room.
Fine, just make sure you keep your stuff on your side, I say, looking over at her like one small bag.
Dude, it goes charge very quickly. Now you're maybe regretting that you weren't in here just with the evil sister for just a moment. What's your reaction?
I think I pick up my violin. Well, I put my violin under my chin, and essentially I play what do you say? A contemptuous exit like thing, and I leave Rosa behind. Essentially, it's all very and I leave her behind, and I follow Somin out.
I think that sort of like punctures Rosa's bubble there of anger, and like as you leave, her face falls, and she just like desultorily goes back to her phone and starts like sadly poking at it.
As this sort of wraps, that scene kind of comes to a conclusion. We've got Thea there, still a little freaked out after that. There's no knock, just door opens, and you will see this statuesque a black woman. She's got a headscarf on. You're not sure whether it's a religious scarf or just something standard. She's got kind of a suit on. I've got a picture of her in the NPCs. And she comes in and she goes, see her, do a count. Good, the four of you. If I could have all of you gather here and take a seat, I'd like to go over the rules of the school with you.
I'll take a seat. I'll sit down, and I'm looking sullen, constantly running my hands through my hair, and
I wait and see where Rosa sits and try and sit as close to her as I can.
Well, that's it, and I will make sure that I'm the one sitting across from Rosa, so I can give her the stink eye. And
I sit down and just sort of like sprawl in a seat, and when Theo comes over, she just sort of like, she perks up a little, she looks at him, and then she like side eyes over it. So man, like, haha.
This woman looks at you all, kind of waits to sort of maybe assess and judge exactly what's going on. And she will say, "My name is Miss Monday. I am one of the instructional staff here at Rathburn Academy. There are 7 members of the instructional staff and 12 members of the general staff. You may be introduced to other staff that come in from time to time. If you run into someone that you do not know on the grounds, please don't interact with them. Go and get someone of one of the staff members or instructional staff members. It's a large grounds. We sometimes have people trespassing.
If we haven't met all the staff, how do we know if they're like dangerous strangers and invading your poorly secured campus, or whether they're just more staff?
Ask them their name. In any case, it is time for me to explain the rules of the school. You are here on a 2-year program. This is a continuous and intensive 2-year program here at the school. While you are here at the school, you probably have already become aware that they don't have cell reception, Wi-Fi, or internet.
And when is that going to be fixed?
As I said, this is a 2-year program.
Like, pale.
Excuse me, Mom. May I say something?
No, I should finish the rules. I am utterly certain that you are going to have a number of questions, so I'd rather get through this before we go on.
Okay.
You will remain on campus grounds unless you are escorted. You may, if you are escorted, you are limited to Shellville below. Otherwise, you will remain on these grounds for the next 2 years. We don't have any kind of internet or television signal. However, we do have an extensive collection of DVDs and VHS tapes, as well as laser discs for your entertainment options. There's also a significant library spread out over several wings. Your class will be taking place in the nursing annex. I will have someone show you down there tomorrow in the morning when you start your classes. Day one will be involved in the 4 of you taking care of household and housekeeping tasks in the annex. Cleaning supplies and materials will be provided for you. This is a working campus. There are some locations on the campus grounds that are off limits. If you see a location that has a red scarf marking it off, you are not to go into that location. Or if you encounter a locked door, you are not to go through that door. There are 2 other classes in 2 other wings. You will note that they are marked, one in red and one in yellow. You'll see those predominant colors there. We ask that if you do go into those wings, that you do not enter into the other classes' common rooms or personal rooms. The instructor's wing is off limits to you entirely. It is marked in gray. You will note that. There is another wing that is currently under construction. It is marked in black. You're also not to enter into that ring, as it is dangerous. Classes take place 6 days of the week. We ask that there's no discussion of your course material, classes, or curriculum with the other students not in your class. Do know that you will be tested throughout your time here. In the event of an emergency, you will find in your bedside tables, there are a set of silver whistles. You may blow on those to summon a staff member to assist you. You are also not permitted to kill another student while you are here.
Excuse me?
You're not permitted to kill another student while you're here. Is that going to be a problem, Miss Greaves?
No, has it been in the past?
So, you had a question, Miss Hahn.
I have certain commitments to business ventures that I've made a commitment to. I host a regular show on YouTube. From what you're saying, there's no way that I can actually keep up those commitments now.
You seem to have assessed the situation quite clearly.
What? That wasn't part of the agreement. That's so unfair.
I'm certainly, it seems fair, but that was part of the agreement that we made with your father.
So, can we send out mail? And when do we pick it up?
You can hand letters off to Miss January, and she will have the mail taken to town to be sent out. If there are letters or packages arriving for you, Miss January will bring them to you. Miss
So,
Greaves, I'm not,
like, red, yellow, gray, black. Is there anywhere that we are allowed to go in this place?
There are many other areas in this building. It is quite substantial. Of course, there are the grounds. There are a number of buildings that are in renovations, a number of buildings that have been left to the elements. So use your own best caution as you move around the grounds.
And just a note for her, because you said she was really like scrutinizing and reading into us while she was going through the list of like red scarves and other wings and teachers' areas. There is this definitely readable look in Rose's eyes of like, oh, checklist for all of the places I'm going this afternoon.
Okay.
I think Theo pipes in and he says, the first thing you said, the nursing annex, our first classes are to clean? Are we training to be janitorial staff?
No, I don't believe you're training to be janitorial staff, but we are investing in you the pride in accomplishment of a job well done. The space will be yours to maintain. A sense of ownership is part of what we intend to instill in you. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Should you have needs for certain sundries or goods or things that you would like to have ordered, again, you can speak to Miss January and she will see if those can be obtained for you. She turns to you. Miss Sobchak, you are Miss Sobchak, right?
Yes. According to my paperwork.
You've been quiet throughout this process. Do you have any questions?
And she says the only point of clarification is that the nursing annex will be our responsibility for the 2 years that we are here?
Yes.
Excellent. That makes complete sense. You get that sense that she's actually sort of doing a lot of calculus right now of how to work through this.
And when you say that makes a lot of sense, I give you just like it does look like, are you sure?
She'll say, I believe that if I'm reading my notes correctly, Dr. Friday will be your first instructor tomorrow. She will work through and assist you with the cleanup. Food will be brought up today. Tomorrow we'll show you where the kitchens are. You'll be responsible for one meal each day.
Are we getting fitted for our uniforms today?
No, there was some discussion of that in the past, but we don't actually use school uniforms.
Real crisis moment in Rose's eyes there for a minute.
Okay.
Although, is Risa in the middle of another crisis at having to cook and clean for her? Is that something that she's like done before or she's used to?
Oh, well, no, there's no crisis. I mean, she's obviously talking to the three of you.
And I'm sure I'll end up cooking for you.
And Miss Monday will stop and she'll go, I understand that this is a significant change from your lives and a significant change from your expectations. But this school will prepare you for the world.
What exactly is the syllabus?
That's dependent on your instructor's discretion. Miss Friday, for example, works primarily in economics. But the others will meet with you, discuss that, and decide.
Excuse me, miss. I have one last question.
A
You
last
said-
question.
You said these classes are meant to prepare us for the world. I can't help but wonder, what world is it that we're being prepared for?
That is a very good question. I hope by the end of your time here, you will have figured that out.
Oh, okay.
Ms. Sobchak?
And she goes, oh, well, after that question, she goes, I was going to ask, do we have access to computers of any sort? I understand that we don't with the internet and all of that stuff, but I was more curious about storage media and for writing and those sorts of things.
Yes, we actually have that set up in the annex for you.
All right, thank you very much. I'll sort of look at Somin and I'll be like,
And she will say, well, I will leave you to it then. Welcome to Rathburn Academy. And she will turn and depart. And there's awkward silence in the air. As we go to break, 5 minutes, everybody.
All right.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry about all the sniffling through.
It's okay. I did want to say, just because most of it's ended up being pointed at you, like, I'm not trying to be the villain of the piece. I'm trying to be someone who doesn't know how to make friends. So if I push it too far with you, just let me know.
As long as it doesn't end with me being shot with a shotgun in the woods, I'm fine.
Yeah, okay, fair. Yeah, I maybe got a little leeway to go there.
Okay, murdering her in the woods. Fair enough.
That's how Gerwin ended our Bedlam Hall game with me.
Awful lot of fun.
Lol, I did have a mechanical question for you. The seek move, do you think of that as more of like a spout lore, or more of like a gaze into the abyss / psychic maelstrom?
It's what it is it's for research, and it's for thinking about yourself and all that. It's basically, I want to give you a space to declare something about the world. But also give you the space to go, I don't want to figure it out. So if you've got a great idea, you can declare and set the stage, but I'll also take it if you want me to do it. So it's kind of a combination. Does that seem reasonable?
Okay, yeah.
And then you may notice that the read the scene and the pierce the mask, those questions there are just examples. You are also welcome to come up with your own questions on those.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. Sherry and I had a long talk about how information things work in PBTA. And generally those are times when you want to get something important that might change the game state, is when we kind of go to those.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to finish this toast, and then we will get back to play. Nothing as attractive as watching someone eat on camera.
It's okay. I'm
The thing
always
is, you'll
eating
have-
breakfast during these games.
Yep. And to be fair, you're having exactly the same thing that I just had. Except yours is with jelly, mine was with jam. You've got a
Technically,
lot of...
serves.
Oh,
I don't know what that means. Sherry does.
Watching Sesame Street for years, and we kept hearing about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and we were just thinking that would be an absolute horrible combination. And language that unites people by the differences, because there's so many different meanings for different words.
Yeah, I remember on the Great British Bake Off where somebody was combining peanut butter and jam, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know if that's going to work." And
I remember that scene.
But jelly means something fairly different for you guys.
Yeah, it's a dessert rather than a preserve. It's gelatin dessert.
And biscuits.
Yes.
The whole biscuit controversy. All right. So before we kind of go back to play, I want to say, this game is kind of free form. So what I want to do is give you guys a chance to find the space you want to be in, to get the scenes of interaction that you want to be with, and that kind of thing. I'm going to kind of set the stage, but this is, about finding out weird stuff, but also interacting with other characters. So feel free to kind of push towards things as we need to.
Okay.
So let's cut back to the scene after, in that sort of, when we come back from commercial, We see the four of you kind of sitting awkwardly in silence after Miss Monday has departed.
Oh, I'm not in silence. I'm crying. I'm openly weeping. My YouTube career is shot. It's over. Any hope of actually having an ongoing career after 2 years away? That's it. My future is gone. My future is dead. I am inconsolable.
I think Rosa is super uncomfortable with that through a mixture of like obliviousness and empathy, because she really wasn't listening when Somin was going on about like YouTube or whatever. Like she's bragging, and I'm not going to listen to that part. So she sort of missed the details there, but she sort of assumes that Somin is crying because of her, and people aren't supposed to break in front of you. They're supposed to like be strong and bitchy, and then maybe go have feelings somewhere else. So this is really weird. I think, yeah, I turned to Theo, and I'm just sort of trying to not see Somin. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, Somin will stand up, walk to the girls' dormitory, close the door behind, and slam the door behind.
Doot, Theo.
I think you see Dudes just sort of watch this all roll out, and then she stands up and she goes, well, clearly the most important thing is going to have to be us figuring out this wing, essentially our territory. I'll go talk to Somin. And she goes, Theo, why don't you, I don't know, if there's anything that you want to do to prepare, because we're going to be checking all these doors out. All right?
Rosa gets a look in her eyes when Una says that.
And then
there was lots of red and yellow and around. I mean, I don't want to wander into somewhere that we're not supposed to go.
It's all clearly marked, and we're in the green wing right now. So this is our territory. This is our turf. If we don't know it, we're going to be at a disadvantage. And she looks at Rosa and she goes, you understand that, don't you?
I'm just glad someone else picked up when she was talking about all the doors. I think that sounds like a great idea. We should really get a lay of everything we have to hand, and maybe peek at some of the other doors. But you go make sure our expedition is together or whatever.
Yeah, I think we're going to need everyone together. Hold on.
So let's do the scene with Dude and Somin, and then we'll kind of come back to Theo and Rosa, and see what they're up to. Does that seem a reasonable split? Okay. So Somin, what do we see when the camera comes in on you when Dude comes back into the room?
Dude opens the door, and the windows have been opened. So all the windows along the far end of the actual dormitory have been opened, and Somin's sitting there crying, surrounded by doves from the dovecot.
And yeah, I think Dude will stop and she'll go, oh, I don't want to interrupt. And she goes, but I think that we'll be able to do your YouTube thing. You'll have to do shorter ones, just something that we can save onto CDs and mail off. But you can still do it. So you're going to have to start thinking about short format. And also animals like doves until we find out what's really interesting about this place.
Doves. I've done a series on doves already. It didn't get any hits. Oh.
Shorter, punchier. We'll be good. And she goes, we'll all help. Well, maybe not Rosa. I'm not sure what she can do. But anyway, but she goes, we've got to go and check out the rest of this place. I mean, if you're going to figure out what resources you have to bring to this, you need to check everything out, right?
let's get out of here. Sitting around in here is not going to do me any good whatsoever.
That's right. All right, let's go open up some stale, musty doors or rooms to stale, musty doors. I don't know. Whatever. We're going to go open doors.
We've
That
got
sounds good.
a move, I think, that we're going to resolve here that you've triggered in this situation. There is a comfort or support move that has some mechanical function. So let's have you roll mundane.
I did re-roll and I got a 9 again.
Okay. So is that your total?
Yes.
Okay. So on a hit, they hear you. They can mark potential, clear a condition, or shift labels if they open up to you. And it does seem like you are kind of opening up, you're responding, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So which would you like to do?
So what I will do is I'll shift labels.
Okay.
I will. 1 second. I will. I'll put my mundane up by 1.
Okay.
And I'll drop my danger by 1.
Awesome. So we get her. Let's cut back to Theo and Rosa. Are you waiting for them?
Oh, no. I think Rosa is insisting on, even if Theo hesitates or doesn't want to, going to see the boys' dorm. I've seen the girls' dorm. Where do you live? So I think she just walks over his protests, and we're in the boys' dorm as she's picking through stuff.
I think maybe before that would have happened, I would have just been like, wait, and run in to clean up my underwear that's strewn all over my bed and stuff like that.
Nice.
There are 3 beds in here as well, Rosa. But and 2 of them have stuff. They're clearly occupied, but made. But there's no other boys here.
Okay. So can you even believe her? I mean, such thin skin. It's the first day and she's already crying? I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, she lost something very important to her. Do you know what that's like?
What, her YouTube thing? Like she thinks she's famous or something?
Well, I mean, Dude recognized her. Maybe she is. I'm not too familiar with YouTube, but maybe it's you just didn't notice her before.
Fine. Maybe you're right. I guess it is the first day, and if we're going to be stuck together for 2 years, I can just make the best of it. There are 2 other beds. Do we have more people in our class?
I don't know. There was 2 boys, Sebastian and Lionel. They came with us yesterday. They arrived with us. They were nice. Lionel was a little strange, but we all have our things. But I woke up this morning and their beds were made. Their stuff's still here, but I asked about it and they said that they had additional training to be done.
A mystery. I like a mystery. There are all those red sash rooms. You think they're in one of those?
Maybe they got transferred. My sister is part of one of the other rooms. Maybe they moved them in with her, but they said that something about a special curriculum.
You have a sister here?
Oh. Yes. I have a sister. You want to stay away from her.
Oh, that's cute, but you let me watch out for me. So tell me more about these red scarf rooms. Like, have you peeked in any of them yet?
No, it was forbidden. I there could be dangerous things in there. You didn't see the library.
Oh, you are adorable.
And that seems like a good place to cut to have the other two join together. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah, totally. I think, like, you'd probably lead me back into the common room, like getting impatient at this point, maybe.
Yeah, let's go see what's taking them so long. Surely she's cried it out by now.
So the four of you are together, and you have the rest of the day to yourselves.
Door 1, right outside our door, to the right.
So what we're getting is kind of a montage of rooms in your wing.
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, let's do a montage here. Sherry, we'll cut to various cuts of scenes of you opening doors and finding things and stuff. What's one of the rooms that you find in your wing?
I think one of the rooms, the first room that we go to, is a sort of impossible, like, it's like a arts and crafts room. It's got big cabinets full of all sorts of media materials, pencils and charcoals and pastels and all sorts of different paper and canvases that are already like framed, and paints and easels and big tables and sketching tables. I mean, it's sort of a big room. And then it's got this crazy skylight that's coming in that's just beaming all this light on. And the thing is that when you go, there's no light switches in there. There's no light switches in the room. There's just the light coming through the skylight. And then there's like these candelabra that actually have candles in them. So like Dude's like looking at those like, so we would have to. But anyway, so that it's a weird room like that.
Okay.
But it's just full of all kinds of craft materials. Oh, lots of scissors and like Mod Podge, and it's just
Construction
weird.
Paper, stacks of construction paper in different
and
colors.
stacks of newspapers for doing paper mache, and big blocks of clay, like kept in like crates and stuff, and things like that. So
Okay. As you move on, Rosa.
Can I
please.
just ask, what year is the newspaper from?
Ooh, that is.
Do you want to say, or should I, Sherry?
Oh, you should, because
it looks like Turkish newspapers from 1987.
Okay, not what I was expecting.
Oh, really? She kind of looks through. I'm expecting to see something with the name subject in.
Oh yeah, you'll find obviously a subject in one of the like advertisements. Weirdly enough, the name written out in phonetic English, just kind of in the midst of everything else. Rosa, what's another room that, as you guys make your way along the halls and maybe go up some stairs and like servant stairs, and what's another interesting room that you find in your wing?
So I think we go down a couple, and there's like, oh, there's a bathroom. Oh, there's some cleaning supplies in a closet. Oh, there's a room just stacked floor to ceiling with throw rugs. But the interesting room that sort of catches us is open it up, and it's this like red painted door that's sort of got fancy but faded molding on it. Open it up and can't really see what's inside, but there's this sort of like almost mothball-y smell. Fumble around and find a light switch that's sort of like chung, 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 chung. This room that goes down like 100 yards or more. And it's all just clothes racks of this like costume storage. There's all these different outfits arranged by like color and age period, and there's boxes of hats everywhere, and there's just like stacks and stacks of scarves. And I think we get distracted for 15-20 minutes sort of playing around in there.
And like the further you go back in the room, like the stuff that's close by the door looks fairly new, but the further you go in, the older and more worn and more threadbare the stuff gets.
But I think somewhere in there, like while Somin and Theo are off in a different corner, Rosa manages to corner Una and have like a little conversation with her.
Okay.
I think here, try this hat. I think it would look great on you.
And she sort of looks at it. She's like, "Ooh, this is like a hippie hat." And she puts it on.
Well, no, but with your hair and your whole sort of vibe, you pull it off. It was Doot. Did they say your name was Doot?
It's Una, but one of the families I stayed with always called me Doot. So, and everyone knows everyone.
Oh, sweetie, no. Dude is a child or like a cat or something. Una, though, you have a look that could pull off Una. I really like that. If you just if we did a little something with your hair and that hat certainly helps. And maybe if you didn't slouch so much. And I have this dress from last year's Fashion Week in Milan. It would look amazing on you. We have to try it out on you.
And you can see she kind of looks a little nervous, and she starts to put the violin sort of under her chin, and she's like, she goes, "I don't know much about clothes. They just happen. So, I mean, we could try
sweetie,
clothes on."
You have so much to learn. Oh no, you'll be amazing. But just remember, Una, that's special. There's something to that, really.
It means first, yeah.
Okay, I think that's the costume storage.
And I assume you're not trying to provoke or anything like that.
It's more like a Bond thing, isn't it?
Yeah, let me
provoke. I just want to make sure. So, I mean, you guys always have to call on when you think we go to a move, but I always want to kind of point to that. I don't think it's necessarily something to change the game state, but I just want to make sure.
It was just sort of a fumbling first attempt. I don't think I was really trying to change her up or make her feel uncomfortable with her look or whatever.
Perfect.
There might be another little thing to do in here, unless you want to move on, Lowell.
No, go ahead.
I think that Theo, in the room didn't feel as comfortable, when Sumin was crying in front of everybody, especially with Rosa there. He didn't want to say anything. But if we're kind of wandering around in this giant costume area, maybe Sumin had found her own way into an aisle somewhere, and Theo just kind of burst through a clothing rack and just sees her there, and he says, "Sumin, you're going to like it. I promise you. Come, quick." And I just start diving through the clothes.
I'll put down the mask that I was looking at and holding to my face at the time, and what have you found? And I'll start barging my way through.
I say, I don't want to ruin the surprise, but I think you'll like it. Just quickly. And after it never ending, pawing through this labyrinth of clothing, basically, we come out into this kind of and it's I think this is where the shoes and the footwear and stuff are kept. And I've found there's just rows and rows of those giant puffy animal slippers. And it's not only they just have elephants and cats. They have the most obscure animals you could ever imagine. They have just a menagerie of just animal footsies. And I just say, "So, you got a favorite?"
I just burst out laughing, and you can tell it was so unexpected that the stress is just drop him from her.
Nice.
Can
Should
we
that
get a shot of the animal slippers arranged with infinite care? I mean, organized and carefully racked and done there.
Yeah, probably classified by like species and subspecies, and like you probably recognize exactly the order that they're laid out in, like their genus or whatever it's called.
Okay, so she starts wandering around them. She looks, and then she stops all of a sudden. Can you hear that? Puts a ear to the wall. Knocks it. There's something behind this.
Is there something in there? Should we let it out?
It's just some mice, but there's definitely some space behind this. I think this place might actually have a hidden door.
I knew this place was special. Well, I don't want to break anything, but should we? Let's have a look.
Let's have a look. And we'll go up and down the wall, knocking on it, trying to see if we can find if there's an entry to the hidden passageway behind the wall.
All right. Do you want to make this the room that you want to declare is at the end of the secret passage, Garwin? Does that seem cool? Okay.
Yeah,
so secret passage again, that the door comes open, the spider web, cobwebs, classic, then you can see the space between the walls, that kind of drywall frame. Again, that weird mismatch. I assume you get the others. What do you use for light source in here?
I'm getting out my phone. It's about the only thing you can do at the moment.
Yeah. So you got the light thing. You're going along. You're looking at the battery thing, hoping it doesn't run out.
I'll stop occasionally and look up, and there's a small step we come to. And I step up on it and have a look around, and there's a small little slide. So I put my eyes up to 2 eye holes.
Okay.
I think I say...
Oh, you see...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you've got to see this. This is so cool. I'll get down and I urge Theo up to actually have a look.
I say, but what if... Okay, I'll have a look, but what if it's a red room or a yellow room?
It's not our bedroom. It's not my bedroom anyway.
Well, okay, I'll have a look. And what does Theo see?
As he looks in, it looks to be some sort of library. But in the center of the library, there's a giant brass orrery hanging in the middle. Arms looks to be mechanical. There's cobwebs all over it. There's arms coming out for the place of each of the planets, and little arms coming off the planet for the place of the moons around the individual planets. And as the light from the actual phone pops in, we get a distinct flash of brass from the room itself.
Yeah, you're not sure. There's not like a doorway from where you're at to get into that room, but there's the ability to see into this library. I assume that the library is probably rounded, like to circle that. They got those rounded shelves, and then you've got the ledge and another set of library shelves.
Yes, it's basically a tiered library built up with this giant hanging orrery in the middle.
And I think Theo says, it's beautiful. I've never seen the planets arranged like that before. I spent a lot of time looking up at the sky in my home. For a long time, we didn't have a roof over our heads. But wow.
Let's get in there and have a look. Una. Psst.
Okay. She's like, what have you, essentially, so we go through the whole thing of everyone looking through, and then we have to try to figure out where the door is, right?
Yeah, the door doesn't seem to be in this passage into the room.
can we see from where we can look where the door is for the library, though?
Yeah, well, I'd say so.
We can see its orientation. So
Uh-huh.
is it like, essentially what it is then we have to try to find rooms that'll get us around to that angle then,
Okay.
right?
So
Okay.
backtrack, go back around, come around, and also now you guys have cobwebs and stuff on you. Okay. And move around, and eventually you're like have to pass through like a series of small rooms that don't seem to have any purpose. Like you're like, open a door. There's a room. There's a door on the other side. Door. There's a room. There's a room on the other side. It's got a door on the other side. And it's like 3 stages of that until you're like, this must be where it is. And you will see that there is a red scarf tied to this door.
Oh, Rosa is all over that door. In fact, she takes the red scarf, ties her hair up with it in a sort of cute little bow, and then goes to investigate the door handle.
Rosa, you can't do that.
Obviously, I can. The question is, can they stop us? And I don't see anyone.
It does seem to you when you try it, you're not sure if it's locked or if it's just kind of a little bit jammed.
Anybody got any ideas?
I'm gonna have a look around and see if there's anything we can find that would be able to actually open this door.
It looks like you.
In fact, I'm trying to read the scene.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and go ahead and roll superior.
When it wants to catch up with me, superior, brilliant. Okay. Okay, so that will be a 10.
Okay. So you get to ask 2 questions.
Is there a way that we can open this door without permanently damaging it?
It does look like it is possible to do that. It will require like getting some like oil or something. It's really mostly that it's kind of rusted in place rather than being locked.
Okay. And second question: are there any other ways into the room? Is there a ceiling hatch that gives access to the orrery?
No, it doesn't look like that here. It looks like they've that almost looks to you like weirdly they've reconstructed this area maybe to narrow in the entryway to this room. And kind of deliberately cut off other access. Does that seem fair?
Yep, that seems perfectly fair.
So does one of you have some kind of oil or similar liquid that could be used for this?
There would be some back in the arts and crafts room for cleaning the oil brushes. There would be mineral oil specifically.
Okay. So you guys can pour the mineral oil on the lock, and then you'll open it. And when you do open that door, there's a kind of a like puff, like a little bit of pressure being let go. And it can open up into this rounded library, 3 tiers. It's got that the model in the center, and everything is dust covered in here. What do you want to do?
I will hold the door open for Rosa. After you.
Oh wow, thanks. It's been forever since someone's been in here.
I think Theo at this point, because he has a background, a bit of a criminal background. Him and his sister used to actually do a bit of stealing, and he was always kind of roped into it by her. She kind of pushed him to do it, but he does have a lot of experience in doing that stuff. So I think he says, Rosa, no coughing. We have to do this quietly. If they hear us, we could get expelled. Okay. Now we need to, if we want to map out this place, if we want to, Una, you are our lead cartographer. Okay. So we will need you to get a scope of the whole situation, but we need to cover all exits. We need to be careful there are no traps. There might be traps here. This looks like a place where there could be traps. Okay. So I'm going to look for any sign of surveillance equipment. Maybe they could be watching us sneak in here. We need to be careful.
Dude starts to giggle nervously.
Rosa will sort of glom onto you, Theo, as you're looking around for surveillance and her equipment, and start sort of babbling on about like the cameras and weird surveillance lines that like her father's company works on.
Did she mention that?
Yeah. I think she's sort of tired of no one asking, so she's gonna start laying liberal hints.
Yeah, and he says, "Wait a second, Greaves, Rosa Greaves."
Well, yes, that's how I introduced myself. She's sort of like she's perking up. She knows this part of the script.
I must have missed it. I mean, I see the name everywhere, like the refrigerators, right?
Well, yeah, and like the phones and like the really, sexy equipment that's not just refrigerators, like something fun.
Well, I've also seen the name in banks before. And I kind of give her like a dangerous smile.
And where did you say you learned so much about surveillance equipment?
Oh, me and my sister growing up, we didn't have anyone to provide for us, so we had to find our own way. And Gabriella, she has her own methods, but for me, I was usually the one looking out and gathering information.
An accent and a dangerous background. You are full of surprises, Theo.
And the shiny brass, beautiful library room, even dust covered, is still kind of still standing at the doorway. No one has actually moved in yet. There's that pause of hesitation.
Are we going in?
Yeah.
Theo, are you gonna?
I'm just going to walk in.
All right.
Okay.
I'm literally just going to walk in.
And after you start moving, I'm like, all right, team, move.
And I'm going to go over and start basically lifting off the dust covers on some of the display items. Actually peek under them and see what's there. And by lifting off the dust covers, I mean, I lift them off, I'll give them a flick and accidentally cover Rosa in the dust coming off them.
Glaring like bright blue-gray eyes staring out of a dust-covered face at you.
Rosa, no coughing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So go on.
I was going to say, what do we find in the display cabinets at the base of the library?
Do you want to roll seek?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. Is someone assisting you?
No.
I'll assist.
Okay. Then with seek, if she helps you, you get to roll on a stat then.
Okay. In which case then, what I will do is I will roll on my mundane.
Okay. Go ahead and roll.
Okay, that'll be 13.
Okay. So do you want to say what's there, or should I?
In the cabinets, we will find a variety of navigation instruments from the 16th and 17th century, with little name cards next to them, denoting a ship and a year.
And they're really unusual. I mean, they're incredibly well crafted, incredibly well made, and incredibly well good condition here. Very striking.
In fact,
Pretty sure some of them are made of stainless steel. Some of them are made of brass. They're really quite lovely.
There looks to be some other writing on some of them, but it's not in English. It looks to be in French. Theo, what does that say?
And so you said they're 16th and 17th century navigation tools,
Yes.
right?
Like that astrolabe and those kinds of bits and pieces there.
Yeah, and I think and so these cards are mostly just denoting like the names of the things, and like they're like labels for them.
No, the names of ships and a year and a year and a date.
Okay, I think it says Stormbreaker. Must have been a powerful ship.
And as we look up, there's also artwork hanging around the library as well, and it's artwork of shipwrecks.
Or maybe not powerful enough. If that is the Stormbreaker up there, and I see like the same words written up labeling some of the pieces.
Strikingly composed paintings here, unusually photorealistic, not impressionistic at all. That sort of very much trying to capture the reality of the situation, sort of in mid crash for these ships.
And sorry, go on, Pat.
Oh no, you finish up with that.
And as we go round, we find that each of the actual paintings corresponds to one of the navigational instruments in the cabinet. And all of them depicting places along the coast, this coastline.
I think Theo says mostly to Doot. He says, "Now, I don't want to get us in any more trouble than we already might be, but if we're looking to map out this building, and with all the twisting and turning staircases and passageways, maybe this would help." And I kind of pick up a compass and I go to hand it to Doot.
She'll sort of look at it, and she's holding her violin in her other hand, and she sort of puts it under her thing because she's got the bow tucked into her arm. So, you're essentially filling her hands. It's one of the things about Dude. She's always got stuff, she's always carrying her bow and her violin. And she looks at it and she goes, "I think this is a room about disaster. So if I was going to navigate, I don't think that I would use this. But if I wanted someone to founder, I might give it to them." She goes, "Or it's just that everything in here is very expensive. I'm not sure why they've got us tied off from it."
You had me totally spellbound for a second as you're like weaving this tale, and I'm like, and then it kind of breaks, and I'm like, "Oh, well, maybe we can give it to someone we don't like."
So, speaking of disaster and people you don't like, I think when Theo got called away to go look at that like he and Rosa were off in a corner. Rosa thought she had seen a glint of something, like, oh, that must be one of the cameras. She'd climbed up, like with Theo's help, onto a high shelf, and then he just gets called away. And she turns around to look for his help down, and just sort of, there's no one there, and she's just whispering out, Theo, Una, someone, a little help.
And I think that is we all do kind of look, and there you are stuck up there, and Somin's the closest one.
I'll roll my eyes and go over to the actual ladder, the sliding ladder that goes around the library levels. I will slide it over to this. I'll slide it over to you, and it comes just where you are, and. But as I do it, it's not been on for ages, so it's a.
So yeah, I think she. Oh, fine. She climbs down on it very, very prissily, but gets about 5 or 6 steps from the bottom, and I think the step just gives out from under her, and she falls straight back into like Somin's arms, who I think tries to catch her, but there's this weird, unpleasant sort of ripping sound as Rosa continues to fall, and you're holding on to a big paper Rosa, a sort of snakeskin Rosa, as she falls out onto the floor with like bright red hair and a totally different dress, and her cheeks are just fully flushing.
I will drop the skin suit that I'm now holding, and it floats to the ground, and I'll stagger backwards, and as I'll stagger backwards, I smack into the controls for the orrery. And there's a grinding noise as it slowly starts to spin up, and the ancient electric lights on it start to light up.
Yeah, to flicker as they come on.
And I think in that, like Rosa just gets over the shock, sort of bursts into tears, and just bolts out of the room.
Rosa kind of gets up, rushes, and all this noise in the hall, the sound of the orrery and the falling and all of that is going on, and it's kind of echoing down the hallway. What are you doing, Doot?
I think I see Rosa make it out, and I'm like, okay, she's all set. I'll go, Theo, and I'll sort of like gesture for him to head out, and I will go and get Somin. We'll see if we can turn this thing off. Of course, then I'll see the skin and kind of understand part of what's going on. And I'm like, oh, is it like enough in one piece that I can pick it up? Or is it like kind of flaking apart?
It's like it sort of split down a seam in the back, and she just fell out of it.
Okay. She'll go, and kind of very prissily, she'll sort of pick it up and fold it. She'll go, come on, let's go. We don't want to leave too much hint behind us. Can we turn the orrery back off?
You can turn the orrery back off. Rosa, I would like for you to roll Act Under Pressure.
All right. Let's see. Oh, that's Savior, is it? Super good at that. Oh. Jesus. That would be a 2.
All right. So you kind of burst out of the hallway. The others are coming kind of behind you. You hear that the orrery may be coming to a stop. And you will realize that you hear footsteps coming. And like you've moved far enough away from the door that whoever is coming if you go back to join up with them, is going to see you. What do you want to do?
Well, screw it, I guess. It's already out there. I'm going to try and tear off my skin again and change into something sort of flat and the same color as the wall and just sort of press myself back into it.
All right. By the way, you also rolled a 2, so don't forget to mark potential.
Oh, how wonderful.
The good news is you get to mark potential. And now you're going to try and unleash your power.
Yep.
Well, let's do that. We'll resolve that, and I'm going to cut back to the others. So roll freak.
Which is an even. Oh, jeez, that's a 3.
So the good news is you get to mark potential.
Feel like I've heard that before.
The bad news is you flatten out against the wall, like flatten against it, and realize that you're kind of stuck. Like you kind of desperately did that flattening, and you're like, okay, now maybe I'll shift. You can't move. We'll cut back to the others right now. You three get the Ori turned off. Get that noise down. But as that sound starts to die out, you'll hear out in the hall, down the corridor, footsteps.
I think Theo is scared. And this might be a time for him to find, this is like when stuff's going down with him and Gabriella and they're, in the bank, like usually he's the one who can kind of like reach out and sense somehow or find the way. By that.
So we want to read the scene?
Yes, I would like to do that.
Okay. Let's have you roll superior, and then I'm going to check in with Sumin and Doot.
Yes. That is a 5. Wow, my +2 fails.
So the good news is you get to mark potential.
All right.
And I believe you still get to ask a question.
Oh, nice.
Because that's your special ability. You can ask, I've got example questions there, or if you have another question, you feel free to ask that.
Right. I'm kind of curious. Like, I know that there's someone approaching us, but Theo is also looking around the room sort of tactically, like he said before, looking for surveillance and stuff. And we've just engaged this giant mechanism. And I want to know if there's...
It was just shutting down right now. Okay, go on.
Right. I'd just like to know if, like... I think it'd be interesting if Theo notices something to do with the mechanism or the room itself that is...
You will notice that there's another door in the room now.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't there before.
Did you want to check in with the others, or should Theo alert them to this?
Let's assume in. What are you doing?
Okay, I'm going to be acting without planning and without consulting the rest of my team, and I'm moving down directly towards the actual footsteps. I'm going to take the blame for this and try and get rid of my insecure in the process.
Okay. Nice. So you go moving out to there. Dude, what are you doing?
So my thing is that it was a real jumble right there, and essentially this is damage control at this point. So she's essentially, she's probably folded up the Rosa skin again and pushed it into her sweater so no one can see it, and she's following after Somin. So if that makes any sense, it's yeah. I'm guessing that red scarf fell off when the skin did, so she'll be the one holding it, if that makes any sense.
That does make sense to me. Let me do something really quick. And then I'm going to resolve something here. So those two go moving out into the hallway. Rosa is stuck down another corridor, pasted against the wall. You've seen this new door. Rosa, you will hit the hall and come around, and you see this woman. And she's about 6'2", got this long black hair. She's got a couple of scars on her face, like a tribal tattoo you're seeing. Kind of got, kind of a loose olive green jacket, and she's got sort of military style boots on, which is what you're hearing. And she looks at you and sees you there, sees Doot kind of pop up behind you. And she says, "Who are you?"
Sorry, that was to me.
Well,
Ask you a question.
You said Rosa, so that's why everyone's a little
Oh,
confused.
geez. I'm sorry. That's me being dumb there.
Gotcha.
Sumin. Sorry.
Okay.
Completely botched that one.
My name's Han Sumin. I'm one of the new students.
And she walks up towards you, and she looks and you.
Muted.
She says, "My name is Una Sabchak." She's the one holding the red scarf.
She kind of does a double take when you say your name.
Mhm.
What's going on here?
And Una will sort of look at Somen and she'll go, "We were exploring and we were able to see a library. It took us a while."
And she comes forward now quickly when you say that.
She said,
And she grabs the scarf from your hands.
"Okay." She said, and she kind of stops and she goes, "We could see it from one of the other rooms. So we were..."
Hang on. And what are you doing now, Theo? Because now you're hearing some voices out there.
Well, Theo's first instinct is to dash for the door, but I think he can't leave his group behind. He can't leave his team behind like this. So I think he's and Pat, where is Rosa pressed up against the bookshelf?
No, she is
kind of at
out in the hall, down a ways. Don't even
Pressed
see
up
her.
against the wallpaper.
Oh, the
Yeah.
wallpaper. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
you don't
And
even
she's
see her.
stuck there, right? Okay, cool. Well, I mean, it could be funny if I'm sort of like creeping down the hallway, like along the wall, sort of like trying to keep quiet.
You want to
and,
move
like,
out of the room?
I think I want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to just listen and try and not reveal myself, but I want to be there.
Okay. So as the Ori kind of comes to a stop, that door vanishes. I'm going to have you roll act under pressure if you want to get past this woman who is conversing with your colleagues.
Okay, I was mostly like, I mostly wanted to get close to kind of like hear if they were getting into trouble, if they were getting caught,
Okay.
and then
If that's what you're trying to do, then sure, you can move up onto there.
No, can I try something? I want to actually help him try and get past. And
Well, he's not trying to get past.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So you two are there. You've moved up. Let me just give a moment to Rosa, and then I'm going to come back to you. Rosa, you're kind of pressed against that. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah, so it's like Flat Stanley style up against the wall. I've chameleoned the same as the wallpaper, except they're her big like gray blue eyes just sort of blinking out of the wall there.
And as you're stuck there and you're hearing down, because you ran a ways down the hallway, you're hearing some conversation. It's dark in this hallway. You'll realize that now there are a couple of figures here in the hall. And you will feel a tugging. And your perspective starts to shift as one of them has clearly got a hold of you and is dragging you along the wall down the hallway.
Frantic eyes sort of darting back and forth, trying to see what's happening. Maybe
Yeah,
a
it's
little
hard
squeak.
to see. It's dark. You might hear a giggle as that is going on. But we'll come back to you in just a second. This woman says, was the door marked with a scarf?
It was.
Have you been informed of the rules?
Yes.
Okay. Point of protocol. You should probably ask me who I am. You should do that from now on when you meet an adult within the building.
You're right. Excuse me. What's your name?
I'm Captain July. This room is off limits. And she shuts the door that's right by you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Right by where Theo is at. And you see her take the scarf and tie it to this door out in the hallway. And then she starts doing something with the lock.
She goes, a moment, please, before you do that. And she'll lean and she'll go, I'm sorry, I forgot something back in the other room. That's all.
Let's have you roll act under pressure.
Okay. Let's see. What do you add to act under pressure?
Act under pressure in this game is...
Is it savior?
Savior.
Okay, so that's a +1. So I'm rolling?
Yep.
So that gives me a 9.
She opens it up and she looks at you, and Sumin, as Dude kind of moves to go back in the room, you hear Captain July go, Sobachek. Like it's a swear word.
So, you're a captain. Which service was that?
That's none of your affair.
Oh, my mother was actually in the Air Force.
Oh. The helicopter.
Oh, you've heard?
We get briefings. I just hadn't put 2 and 2 together.
Well, if you know about me, you know that I do this little show on YouTube. I'll take out my phone and I'll turn on the camera and hi there. Hi there.
If you kind of are you turning it towards her at all?
I'm turning it towards me and turning it towards her.
Okay.
And
I'm going to need you to take a powerful blow.
Okay. One second. I can't remember what any of my stats are. Okay. Take a powerful blow.
That or defend, because her hand comes out like a thing to knock that phone to the ground.
Oh no! I knew she was going to do that. I'm trying to distract her to hopefully allow other people to open the door before she realizes what's going on.
Okay.
So I will roll down here. So that's an 11.
Okay. So you don't get the shot of her. She does knock the camera to the floor, but I mean, you planned on this, so she doesn't break the camera. But it does open up the space for Theo. You're inside. Duke kind of pokes her head in. It sounds like there's some kind of maybe now altercation going on. What do you two do?
I give him the signal to go, and essentially I move so that I'm sort of in front of him so he can kind of sneak around and past.
Yeah, Theo will go.
Okay. And I don't think you need to roll because essentially Sumin has already kind of done the roll to set that up. So you can, if you want to move down the hallway, you can do that.
Yeah, I think I'll kind of hurry. Like my stealth practice comes into play here. My footsteps kind of barely making a sound as I just kind of slink down the hallway.
Okay. When you come back out, this woman kind of slams the door shut, doesn't say anything more to you two, and ties that scarf on like she's done with this. So she'll kind of stop that there and go to move away. Takes a look back, kind of notes both of you, Sumin and Doot.
Mm-hmm.
You will realize that.
And yes,
actually,
I did just stick my tongue out at her.
Yeah, that as she kind of goes to step back away and move away, she does this thing with her hand where she kind of takes her hand and she does this in the air, like she's putting something into a sheath, but there's nothing there, and moves away. And I'm going to cut to a visual moment here, and I'm going to describe what you will see there, Theo. Kind of get down the hallway looking for Rosa, and you will see these two teens, and they hear you coming, and you get a glance at them, and you see them holding what looks like a paper cutout of Rosa, and they are running down the hallway away from you, holding it.
And I think you just hear like a squeaked sort of receding Theo.
I think.
Okay.
Oh, you
can
just
do one reaction shot because that's the end of the session.
Oh, totally. I think it's just Zut alors, and I just start sprinting after her, just cursing.
And that's where we're going to stop. I hope that's an okay note to end on. Everybody gets to mark a potential for playing. And then we do the end of session questions. Sherry, at end of session, you get to choose one: grow closer to your class, explain who made you feel welcome, grow into your own image of yourself, or grow away from the class.
Oh, I would say I grew fonder of my class.
Okay.
And I would say that it's probably Su Min is the most explicit bond, essentially that I got. So Su Min.
That seems fair.
So what does that do?
What that is you give them an influence.
Okay. So you have an influence over me?
And you get to clear a condition or mark potential.
Potential.
Okay. Sumin, what about you?
I think it's the same. I think I've really grown closer to.
Okay. And so we do the same reverse approach there.
Yes. Unfortunately, I think that I've actually also allowed Rosa to get her claws into me a little bit as well. I've not necessarily grown closer, but she certainly had some influence over me.
So yeah, you can, if you want to give her an influence over you, you can declare that's a thing.
Yeah, I want to do that.
So Rosa, you can record an influence over Sumin.
Okay.
And then what about you, Theo?
Well, definitely giving one to Rosa.
Okay.
That seems logical. And I feel like I'm giving one to Doot as well for getting me out of that situation and for being very kind of on point. Like usually I would look to my sister in these situations, in these high pressure situations, to be the kind of calming and guiding force. But Una does have a very calming presence, and she came back for me. So I'll give one to her too.
That seems fair. And clear condition or mark potential. And what about you,
Potential.
Rosa? What's your thing?
I do think I've grown closer. I'd give influence to Theo, because he seems like a nice and sort of exciting boy, and also like he's a cute little silly putty man that I can mold with my hands, and that's very gratifying. So I'll give him an influence over me.
Do you want to clear the angry condition, or do you want to mark potential?
I would normally be up for clearing conditions, but I feel like angry might actually be appropriate for where we're going to start up. So I'll take potential.
That seems fair. Okay. Do you guys mind giving me a couple minutes to do roses and thorns?
Yeah,
Sure.
by all means.
For today, I'd like to do that. I guess my thorns is that that we have a lot of cool characters, and not enough space, and it was sad to have two people out, but I was glad to get Patrick in and have a chance to play Gerwin in a non wrestling context. So that was good. So that I've mixed feelings on that. Patrick, do you have any thorns, things you'd like to see more of, about your own play, about what went on, about the rules, about how I ran?
I sort of addressed it there at the end of the game, and I feel like part of it comes down to me. But I like by the end of the session, I was definitely itching to like get some of the weirdness out there. Like, hey, we haven't talked at all about the fact that any of us have powers or things like that. And part of that is like last session that happened through the extreme camaraderie, which I watched, and the little evil part of my brain says, "Ooh, I can mess that up." So like I definitely sowed a field that was a different vibe to it that maybe wasn't as leading to that. So that's why I sort of engineered that scenario to just be like, okay, let's rip the Band-Aid or the skin right off and get this out there.
Yeah, it felt natural to me, though. I will say it was a lovely surprise. One of those choices that for at least for me in playing, I felt like that was a good choice.
I think that's the only thorn, really.
Okay. Matthew.
I think for me personally, I think it's a little hard managing like I'm playing a young teenager, and I also have the background scared, but then also thinking that this is like a super powered academy kind of story where like
Not necessarily superpowered. Not necessarily superpowered.
Right. Just strange. I guess I was struggling with like Patrick said, wanting to get the weirdness out, but also I feel like I played a little too safe or a little too close to the chest, and a lot of the time it's better to just wander into the weirdness just to see it happen, because otherwise it's not wasted, and it is fun to be subtle as well. But I maybe felt like I could have maybe given the other characters a few more opportunities to do that. I think but yeah, no other thorns really. I had a blast.
That does seem like a fair assessment and a good thing to keep an eye out for and to remember. Gerwin?
Okay, sorry about that. Still a bit under the weather, I'm afraid.
You made it through really well. So
I couldn't even tell.
Whether I make it through the next game is going to be interesting. But anyway, so yeah, as we got along, I was really getting the idea of actually that we can try the story ourselves. A lot of it is open ended, so it took me a while for that to actually twig that if there was mysteries that we can actually introduce them ourselves, and certainly with the Ori room with the shipwrecks and the souvenirs from all the shipwrecks and establishing the boathouse ahead of time. So I was certainly trying to push in that general direction, but I think I left it a bit too late in the episode to do that because I spent most of it crying.
That's fair enough. It does take a bit. I mean, one of the things is Rich always says don't ask open-ended questions, but in fact this game is all about kind of open-ended questions in some way, so that it is an adjustment thing. So that seemed like a fair point. Sherry? Patrick?
Sorry, I just wanted to build off that too, because just because like Tyler and I've been playing a good bit of like Bluebeard's Bride recently, and maybe something to like evolve this setting with would be going in some of the moves and inserting some of that, like, okay, you have to describe something weird in this move for part of it, or in some of the pick lists, like you get to describe something weird or something like that, and just bake more of that into the moves themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely got less of that the dramatic push that the other games have, because I've kind of stripped it down. That's a really good point. Sherry, thorns?
Personal thorns for me. I pictured Una as being, accomplished at dealing with adults and adults that have strong ideas about how things are going. But in some ways, because this was all about that sort of, the institution and the rules of the institution, I ended up playing like sort of maybe a little too competent instead of like a messy teen. And so that's the thing is I got to bring out the messy teen stuff. So she's got plenty of it, but I kind of pictured it being a little bit more siloed, and I need to open that up.
Okay.
So.
Let me come around to Roses. I will say, when you guys threw stuff to me, the stuff you put on the table, the descriptions, the suitcases, the Ori, the craft room, the room with all the costumes, all of that stuff. I love having that material to play with. It felt very good for me. I can see lots of directions that can go in. In my head, I'm kind of weaving stuff together about what's going on from the stuff that you're giving me. So I enjoy that. That for me, that's my play as a GM in this kind of game, and I dug it very much. Patrick, any roses?
So many roses. I really enjoyed this. I agree with you. I love the sort of like collaborative, let's all work together to build the next mysterious thing sort of feel to it, and you definitely came back with responses to that really well, and I just want to like heap roses on Gerwin for not just playing through sick, but like running with me, abusing you through a lot of this. I really appreciate that, and I thought you responded in really like true and interesting ways to that.
Thank you. It's great fun to play play with you, mate. And
maybe some game we'll play with each other. It has been against in a lot of cases.
It came close in the Bedlam Hall, but no, it's nice. It's good having people that that you can bounce off. And actually, having played a few games beforehand, it means that we're comfortable actually doing that. So,
you guys are good about being willing to trust other players, and I think that's a really strong thing.
And I appreciate from Sherry and Matt that like you were willing to go with the other end of it and not just instantly hate my character because she was mean. That you were willing to stay open to like I want to evolve this idea. I don't just want to be the bad guy in this. So I like y'all giving me that space as well.
Matt, roses?
Yeah, sort of building on that, I thought everyone did a great job at sort of recognizing the dynamics between the characters and the potential like archetypal relationships and playing into that to make like a satisfying story. Like there wasn't a lot of like feeling each other out. We kind of like all figured out what everyone wanted to do, and I thought that allowed Gerwin and Patrick's character to feel like they had been part of it for longer than they were, because we felt like, I don't know, it felt like I could have been reading about these characters or whatever, instead of the first role-playing game session of like, oh, I don't know who I am, I don't know who you are. But maybe teenagers has something to do with that fact, and it's easy to get messy and dramatic pretty quickly, and kind of you really lay it out there as far as who you are, which is fun. But it was great. And Sherry, as far as your Thorn, I really liked that part of Una, and I think there's enough messiness happening with the other three that it's really cool having you being a sort of mysterious, you're a very competent musician. So there's like that aspect of it too. I think it's nice having a bit of like a leader archetype. And I thought you played that really well. I didn't notice anything that you said really. I just liked how, I really like the feeling of like all the staff, like the whole naming convention and how you play all of them, and how like, just wandering around the school, and every time you run into one of them, it's like, oh, what's this person going to be like? And it really pushes the feel of the premise that you're going for. I think that's one of the strongest things in the game so far, is that like all these cool, interesting staff members. So that was great.
I love NPCs. So yeah, so this is the kind of thing that I did very much. Gerwin,
Yeah.
Roses?
Well, the other players, I have to admit, I loved the interactions that we actually had with them. From the bitchiness with Rosa to the surrogate mother figure in Una, and everything in between. It was, it basically made my game. It gave me rocks to hang plot hooks on and hang things on, and ways to actually get people involved in scenes, which I loved. And because that's the difficulty, trying to find a reason to get someone involved in the scene with you.
Mm-hmm.
And actually having the strong relationships there really just allows you to pull people in effortlessly.
Yeah, that is very good. Good players. Sherry, I'm going to give you last word on Roses.
Yay, I loved the ping pongs. I love the messiness. I love the we got to do these things, and everyone's reacting very differently to it. It's so fun to watch it, and just everything felt very organic and lovely. So, and mysterious. So the problem is, except I'm talking Roses, but this is the start of a fine campaign.
Okay, Sherry's like...
So it's a good thing. That's a bad thing.
Thank you very much. I'm going to stop the broadcast now. Now.